If you want to understand the monsters in Chainsaw Man, you have to start at the absolute bottom of the food chain. Here, we find the Marshmallow Devil, a squishy blob with small tentacles, and the Tomato Devil, a creature that essentially exists to get sliced into marinara. These creatures exist because of a strict biological rule governing this universe. Every supernatural threat is born directly from a specific human fear. The mechanics are entirely literal. The inherent weakness of these particular monsters comes down to the origin of the fear itself. Only a tiny fraction of the population finds the sticky texture of marshmallows creepy, or feels unsettled by the shape of a tomato. That minor niche aversion translates into a weak physical form. While they possess minor supernatural traits, like the Tomato Devil's ability to regenerate its body from seeds, standard everyday human devil hunters easily eradicate them. Once the seeds are burned, the threat is gone. This sets up a mathematical problem. If a mild, isolated anxiety about food textures generates a physical monster you can kill with a sword, what kind of entity is born from a universal terror shared by every human being on the planet? Moving past niche aversions, we find widely shared biological phobias. This is the territory of the leech, the bat, and the cockroach devils. At this level, the sheer volume of human terror acts as an engine for physical strength. Because millions of people are actively disgusted by insects, that broad consensus of fear pumps massive amounts of energy directly into the cockroach devil. This shared dread manifests as extreme structural resilience. The cockroach devil grows into a massive humanoid tank that can absorb heavy building-level impacts and survives being thrown through solid concrete. The bat devil demonstrates how natural animal traits get weaponized by human imagination. Its ability to navigate via sound morphs into a supernatural combat mechanism, a mouth that functions as a cannon, firing sonic blasts capable of leveling city blocks. When an everyday aversion is shared by millions, it crosses a quantitative threshold, turning a localized nuisance into a lethal, city-destroying threat. Beyond biological phobias, power scales even further when we look at modern, manufactured societal terrors. The zombie devil thrives on the fear of spreading mindless infection. This specific dread grants it the power to control massive human populations, converting anyone it bites into a durable, unthinking horde. At the apex of modern terror stands the gun devil. It is fueled by the collective, global dread of mass violence and weaponry. To understand the scale of this fear, look at the results. The gun devil is capable of slaughtering over 1 million people across multiple countries in exactly 5 minutes. Its power is self-perpetuating. As it moves, it discards pieces of its own bullet flesh. When lesser devils consume these pieces, their own strength increases mathematically, spreading the gun devil's influence across the entire supernatural ecosystem. Global collective trauma elevates a devil from a simple monster into an unstoppable, self-perpetuating weapon of mass destruction. Even the gun devil is a relative newcomer. To find the absolute peak of the hierarchy, we have to look at the oldest, most foundational anxieties at the bottom of the human psyche. These are primal fears, evolutionary anxieties embedded in human DNA since the dawn of our species. The terrifying darkness devil is the absolute physical embodiment of this ancient, overwhelming dread of the pitch-black unknown. Because its power source is as old as humanity itself, it operates on abstract, reality-bending rules. It can cause enemies to hemorrhage or lose limbs simply by pointing at them, rendering traditional weapons and combat tactics completely useless. Anxieties that have existed longer than human civilization manifest as immortal, incomprehensible forces of nature. This entire hierarchy shows that a devil's specific anatomy and destructive capability is perfectly calibrated by the scale of human anxiety. These supernatural threats function as direct, literal mirrors, reflecting the collective human psyche. Humanity is entirely responsible for manufacturing the very predators that hunt them. Every city destroyed and every life taken is a result of our own capacity for terror. In a universe governed by psychological dread, the most terrifying force is the boundless,